you guys learned about everything that goes inside of a cell, all right? Now we want to talk about what keeps those things inside of the cell, all right? And one of the most important organelles in the cell, besides, the nucleus, everything's important, but it has to have a cell membrane, otherwise all these organelles would just be free-floating, all right? You have to have a cell membrane to regulate what goes in and out, all right? This is a more accurate picture of what a cell membrane actually looks like, all right? So make some observations about what you see in this cell. What can you see?
Hydrophobic, hydrophilic.
Okay, you definitely have to know the difference between hydrophobic and hydrophilic. Y'all know that word phobic?
Yeah.
That means?
Away
Phobic
from
means
fear.
afraid. Any of you guys have any phobias?
Yeah.
What are you afraid of?
Being alone.
Being alone?
Spiders.
Spiders? Arachnophobia?
Height.
Height? There's a word for that too. You know there's a phobia of teenagers?
Really?
There's an actual word, I forget what it's called, there's an actual word for if you're afraid of teenagers. But anyways, so it's hydrophobic. And just to explain that hydrophobic, if you're looking at this, which side is hydrophobic, which side is hydrophilic?
The middle is
Yeah, so there's water on the outside of here. What are these things? Those are fatty acids or lipids. All right, they're interchangeable. Think oil, fats. All right, when you mix oil with water, what happens? They separate because oils, fatty acids, are hydrophobic. They separate. So these things are repelled by water. These things, what are these?
alcohol.
So when you think lipid, you think phospholipid. So this has to be what? It's phosphorus and some other atoms, all right, that are hydro what? Philic. So they don't mind being next to the water, okay? So because you have all these molecules, this is how they orient to each other. In the experiment that you did, all right, what could cross that barrier, that semi-permeable membrane?
Yeah.
Water could, because it's small, and glucose could, all right? What could not? Starch, okay? Starch is too big of a molecule to, this is a semi-permeable membrane, all right? Starch would be too, so water can just flow in through here, between here, all right? But starch is repelled by this. They can't get in, all right? So, but you have to get starches into your cells sometimes, all right? So they have to come through these channel passageways, and that's what these proteins are, all right? Think of them as openings in the cell, little tunnels, all right? What else do you see here?
I have a question.
Yes?
Why is 1, 2, or capacity of 2 and 1 just passes through 1?
I'm sorry, say it again?
Like 1 goes through both layers, but that one just goes through 1 layer.
Ah, okay. Very good. But there are certain proteins that are not used for passageways. Some proteins can help with cell communication, and that's what I was going to say with these carbohydrates as well. So the cells need to communicate with each other. Remember we talked about that in bacteria? And so some of the things in the cell membrane, this could be a receptor cell or a receptor protein. If there's a hormone that will trigger this cell to do something, it will maybe bind here and trigger a reaction later in the cell. Okay, and some of these things are used to communicate with each other, for cell growth, so they know when to divide, and so on. So there's a lot of different uses for this stuff that's in the cell membrane. Good question. Okay.
Surprisingly flexible. Push it and watch it move. Poke hard enough and it might break and begin to regroup. The lipid molecules of the membrane naturally assemble in a double layer because their tails repel water as their heads attract it. Throw in some cholesterol and a few carbohydrates, and you have the basic structure of a plasma membrane.
Questions or comments on that video? Okay. Throughout the year, we're going to be talking more about what these things do on the outside of the cell membrane. Okay. What do you think this is a picture of?
DNA. The helix.
Right. Okay. So This looks like, you see that helix structure and you think DNA automatically, right? This is actually a protein, okay? So proteins are not actually big blobs, all right, like that. They're actually molecules joined together, and sometimes when molecules are joined together, their chemistry interaction causes them to bend in certain ways that can make helixes, like the double helix in DNA. This is called an alpha helix. And then sometimes it's in these ribbon-type beta-pleated sheets, all right? And so this just gives you an idea of what that protein that's in a cell membrane would actually look like, the chemistry of it, all right? It's not just a big blob. Okay. So more functions of the cell membrane. Proteins that I talked about, those things that are stuck in there. They're used for transportation, all right, to get things from in the cell to out the cell. Enzymatic activity. You guys know about enzymes yet?
Yes.
All right, what do enzymes do?
They're catalysts and chemical reaction.
Catalysts, they cause reactions to happen inside of the cell. All right, so they can cause reactions to happen. Signal transduction. What do you think that word means?
They take in signal.
Yep, they take in a signal here. This is a signal. And then what does transduction mean?
Translate.
They translate it and they carry the signal into the cell. Okay? Intercellular joining. So these proteins can help cells actually join together. All right? Cell-cell recognition. So there could be carbohydrates on there that causes another cell to recognize another cell. We learned about this in a video that we watched.
The one with that lady.
Bacteria.
How would this be important for bacteria?
To stop, to stop growing in another surface area.
Right? And also, why would a bacteria cell want to recognize?
So that it knows when
When to
it's the right
activate.
time to infect.
Also, this is because of proteins similar to this is how bacteria cells can recognize what type of cell to attack. All right? And so they know what type of cell it is, and then they can infect it. All right? And then also, some proteins are, remember I showed you all those fibers outside of the cell? Some of them are used to attach to the cytoskeleton and extracellular matrix. Question?
Okay, I know that lady was making that medicine that like stopped the cells from communicating.
Right.
But you're saying that it recognizes which cells to attack. What if there's a medicine that made them think that their own cells are bad and attack their own cells?
Go for it. Go for it. If you can do that, that would be awesome. You make $1 million. Okay. Huh?
I'm already curing cancer.
I know, he's gonna cure cancer, you're gonna cure bacterial diseases. Okay. Also wanted to talk to you guys about diffusion.